The night was quiet, except for the faint hum of the river rushing below the broken bridge. The moonlight spilled over the wreckage of a luxury car, twisted metal clinging to the edge, dangling dangerously above the waters. Inside, a woman gasped for air, her trembling hands clawing at the stuck seatbelt. She was used to control, power, and respect, yet here she was, a billionaire fighting desperately for her life, with no bodyguards, no boardrooms, no fortune that could save her, just fear. Then came footsteps, heavy, fast, and determined. A man, broad-shouldered, dirt-stained, with a flashlight in one hand and a toolbox in the other. His clothes were ragged, his shoes worn down, but his eyes carried something she hadn't seen in a long time. A fire. He didn't hesitate. He didn't ask who she was. He didn't demand anything. He simply rushed forward, pried open the bent door with his bare hands and crowbar. And when the car finally gave way, he pulled her out just before it tumbled into the river below. She collapsed against him, gasping, her expensive perfume mixing with the scent of oil and rust from his work clothes. She whispered, trembling, "You saved me." But when she looked up again, he was already walking away. No name, no thanks, no trace, just a silent shadow fading into the night. And that, my friends, is where our story begins. If you're new to Kindness Universe, don't forget to like this video, leave a heartfelt comment, and subscribe for more inspiring stories that will touch your heart. Her name was Evelyn Hart. To the world, she was one of the most powerful women alive, the CEO of Hart Global Enterprises, a company worth billions. But Evelyn was not invincible. Her life, despite its wealth and glamour, was built on relentless control, hard decisions, and sacrifices that left her cold and untouchable. She was feared in boardrooms, envied in magazines, admired by millions. But in the silence of her penthouse, she was utterly alone. And now she was haunted by the nameless man who had pulled her from death's grip and vanished like a ghost. She replayed it in her mind every night. The strength of his hands, the determination in his eyes, the way he didn't even wait for thanks. Who was he? Why did he save her? Why did he leave? Evelyn had resources, more than anyone could dream of. She hired investigators, offered rewards, searched through police reports. Nothing. The man was invisible, until fate intervened. Miles away, in a small rusted trailer on the edge of town, Daniel Reeves lived a very different life. He was a single dad, raising his 8-year-old daughter, Lily, after tragedy had stolen his wife years ago. His world revolved around Lily, her laughter, her bedtime stories, the way she hugged him tight before school. He worked 3 jobs, repairing cars in a dusty garage, fixing fences for neighbors, and night shifts at a warehouse. Money was always tight, but love was abundant. And yet Daniel carried a quiet weight in his chest, the belief that he was invisible, that the world only saw him as a man struggling to make ends meet. He didn't want recognition. He didn't want praise. He only wanted to give his daughter a better life. That night, when he had seen the broken car on the bridge, he hadn't thought twice. Someone was in danger. That was enough. He saved her and left because in his mind, it wasn't about being a hero. It was just about being human. But destiny wasn't done with him. Weeks later, Evelyn found herself in an unlikely place, a small town diner. Her car had broken down during a trip, and while her chauffeur scrambled to fix it, she stepped inside the diner, disguised in casual clothes to avoid attention. That's when she saw him, Daniel. He was wiping tables, wearing a faded apron, his daughter sitting at the counter drawing with crayons. His laugh was soft, his words kind, his presence warm. Evelyn froze. This was him, the man who saved her life. But why was he here, living so modestly, when he carried the strength and courage of a giant? She watched as he poured his daughter a glass of milk, kissed her forehead, and went back to work without complaint. Something inside Evelyn cracked open. This man who had saved her without asking for anything lived with so little, yet seemed richer in spirit than anyone she knew in her world of wealth. She approached him. Their eyes met, and Daniel instantly recognized her. But instead of basking in acknowledgement, he looked uncomfortable, almost regretful. "You shouldn't have found me," he muttered, avoiding her gaze. "Why?" Evelyn asked, her voice trembling. "You saved my life. I need to thank you." "No thanks needed," Daniel interrupted, his tone firm. "I didn't do it for gratitude. I did it because it was the right thing to do." Evelyn was stunned. All her life, people wanted something from her. Money, favors, power. But this man, he wanted nothing. He lived with integrity, with dignity, with love for his daughter as his only prize. She couldn't walk away. Not this time, P. Over the next weeks, Evelyn returned, sometimes with excuses, sometimes just to see Lily's smile. Slowly, walls broke down. Daniel remained guarded, but Evelyn found herself drawn into their little world. A world where happiness wasn't bought with billions, but built in small, simple moments. Ice cream after school, laughter over burnt pancakes, story time under the stars. For the first time in years, Evelyn felt human. But Daniel wrestled with himself. He knew who Evelyn was. He knew her world was different, dangerous even. He had seen men destroyed by pride, families torn apart by greed. He couldn't risk dragging his daughter into that storm. And yet, every time Evelyn laughed with Lily, every time her cold, sharp eyes softened at the sound of a child's joy, Daniel saw something in her too. A woman who was learning to heal. One evening, Evelyn confessed her truth. She told Daniel about her loneliness, about how saving companies and empires never filled the silence in her heart. She admitted she had searched for him not because of gratitude alone, but because he reminded her of something she had lost long ago, hope. Daniel looked at her for a long time, torn between fear and compassion. Finally, he said softly, "You don't need saving, Evelyn. You just need someone to remind you that you're more than what the world sees." And with those words, she cried. Not the elegant tears of a billionaire, but the broken sobs of a woman who had been holding herself together for far too long. Their worlds clashed, but slowly, something new bloomed. Evelyn found herself helping in small ways, quietly paying Lily's school fees, sending groceries anonymously, fixing what she could without bruising Daniel's pride. And Daniel, though reluctant, began to realize that maybe letting someone in wasn't weakness. Maybe it was strength. But the most powerful moment came one night when Lily, holding Evelyn's hand, whispered, "Can you stay for story time? Daddy always reads. But maybe tonight you can too." Evelyn froze. She had signed billion-dollar contracts, faced ruthless businessmen, conquered industries. But the request of a little girl melted her heart in ways no empire ever could. She stayed. And that night, in that tiny trailer, surrounded by laughter and warmth, Evelyn Hart, the billionaire who once had everything but nothing at all, finally felt at home. Before we reach the ending, don't forget, if this story touched your heart, please like, comment, and subscribe to Kindness Universe so we can share more inspiring tales with the world. The world never found out that a billionaire had once been rescued by a struggling single dad. There were no headlines, no front-page stories, no cameras. It remained a secret, tucked safely in the hearts of those who lived it. But Evelyn and Daniel knew. And sometimes that was enough. Because in the end, it wasn't about wealth or power. It wasn't about saving a CEO or building empires. It was about a single act of kindness that changed two lives forever. A man who had nothing gave everything without a word, and in return he found not riches, but something far greater: love, family, and the quiet strength of knowing he had healed someone's soul. And Evelyn, the billionaire, learned the most priceless lesson of all: money builds walls, but love tears them down. So whenever you feel unseen, unheard, or unworthy, remember Daniel's story. True worth isn't measured by what you own, but by what you give. And sometimes, the smallest act of kindness can spark a miracle that lasts forever.